think this is going to be your best podcast ever.
Epicurean. But OFC and pink lemonade's pretty damn good. It'll put your boat in the marsh. Jesus did not die so you could eat yellow number 5. Excitable.
The nose starts off gentle with noticeable sense of grain that takes shape in the form of fresh baked bread.
Ma'am, you're in the wrong podcast. Educated-ish. I have used the term overproof for so long without really knowing what it
constitutes.
Because for
Is
me,
there a definition officially?
welcome to Bitches and Bourbon. We're live. Hello, Reba. How are you this evening, darling?
I'm good. How are you?
I am so ready. So,
yes.
So there's so much to do this evening. I think we'll kick right off into it and bullshit a little bit later because tonight we have 3 rabbit holes to try this evening. So that should be fun come to the end of the show. So if you want to just go ahead and
we will completely get lost.
So if you want to go and fast forward now to see how it all ends up, feel free to do that. But anywho, we have 3 to do tonight. We have Rabbit Hole, the Cavehill, the Heigold, and the Dareringer. Full disclosure, Reba and I have tried all 3 of these before already, but I will tell you it was at Bourbon Club, and I think there was a lot of drinks that night. I don't know that I really paid a whole lot of attention. Do you remember how you felt about them?
If I'm being completely honest.
Yes, that's what we do here.
I don't quite remember these from Bourbon Club.
Oh, yeah. They were definitely there. I remember because they were trying to get rid of them, and they were putting them in the mixers. It was for, the party or whatever, remember?
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't mix that. Just put it in a glass for me. This would be fine. So, anywho.
So, yeah, no.
No, that's fine. I think that's fine. All right, so the Cavehill.
This will be like a new tasting.
Which is always fine.
Cheers.
God, can we talk about how pretty that Waterford sounds? Tastes like a bourbon.
Yes, it does.
That is probably one of the most bourboniest bourbons I think I've had in a really long time.
Yeah, you're drinking some bourbon.
It's exactly what you expect a bourbon to taste like.
Yeah, there's no extra.
No. It is exactly what you expect a bourbon to taste like. And I don't know that I've ever said that about anything that I've ever had. Woodford comes close. We talk about the consistency with Woodford and those kind of things. Mm. Okay, so great. So
it's
now,
quite smooth.
It's very delicious. I really like it. So the Cavehill, and like I said, I feel like I'm moving kind of fast, but if I'm being really honest, it's been that kind of day. My feet hit the floor at 5 o'clock this morning, and I haven't stopped. Absolutely haven't stopped.
Would this one be Cavehill?
That's the Cavehill.
Cavehill.
Yeah, that's the Cavehill. It's a 4-grain triple malt bourbon, which I think is pretty interesting because I don't know that I would have expected it. I think I was expecting something different because I knew that it was a 4-grain triple malt. I think I was expecting something
more malty.
Malty, yes. Yes. A little more malty. And I really just don't feel that way. And I guess maybe it's just because of the way they've blended it. It's come in at 47.5%, 95 proof. Yeah. Yep. We're coming in at 70% corn, 10% malted wheat, 10% malted barley, 10% honey malted barley. And all of those things are so far outside of any mash bill that we've tried so far.
That's what I was going to say. I don't know that we have seen a mash bill yet that had honey malted barley.
And I just want to drink it again right now. So, which means the finish is pretty short.
Yes.
But
I can feel it a little bit on the back of my throat. But
I'll tell you, I really haven't known. And this bottle comes in at between $60 and $70. I don't know that finish has been a really big deal. What you have, I just said between $60 and $70, and you get a look on your face. You're not paying $60, $70 for that bottle.
I would on the $60 end. I don't know. I mean, I know it's only $10, but
right. No, that's fair.
If you're, on average, and if someone's looking for a gift, type thing for just your general nice gift, then the higher end might be just over that teetering mark. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Oh, sure. But I'll tell you, if we're talking about gifts, I love the way the bottle presents.
Yes. Yes.
And-
It's
and-
very. It's got the little curve to it, like.
It's just it's a very pretty bottle. It's sophisticated without being overdone. I like the way they've done the different colors.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, Reba and I were just talking about it before we started to record, because before we start to record, we always take the picture that you'll see that comes up. And it really is probably the prettiest picture that we've taken. Quit spinning the bottles.
Okay.
People in the podcast world are going, what the hell is that noise? It was Reba spinning the bottles. And I don't... Speaking of noise, I told you we would get to it. There's so much to do today. But I would be remiss if I did not do this.
Okay. While you're... Well,
yeah, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Well, I was just... So, I apologize for the noise in the background, but I got sidetracked a little bit down a little rabbit hole. How two of the three bottles note that it is matured over 3 years in new charred American oak barrels, and then the third one makes no mention of it at all.
Yeah, you're talking about the sherry bottle, right?
Yes.
The sherry bottle also does not have the mash bill directly on the label.
Interesting.
Which I also thought was pretty interesting. But again, the mash bill is not hard to find. It is all on
Their
the website. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a very put together
I agree.
website.
I liked it a lot, but I've got to tell you what I've got going on right here. So, if you skip the beginning of the podcast, which I really don't blame you, intros I think are just kind of one of those things that you kind of have to have for whatever. You just have to have them. So, if you skip it and you haven't heard the intro in a while, what I'm going to do is refresh your memory just a little bit. Welcome to Bitches and Bourbon. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Bitches and Bourbon intro music. It is a song called Whiskey Barrel. It is done by Stuart Rao. We found it in the very beginning of doing our podcast put together-ishness. We really liked the hard. We liked the funk of it. We loved that it was named Whiskey Barrel.
Yes.
And so that has been our theme song from day one.
And that has been for over a year now.
Almost damn near 2.
Yeah.
And wow, 2 years. That's crazy. So last night,
Yes.
I'm laying in bed.
Yes.
And I'm watching Law and Order because that's just the bitch that I am. And it's on Hulu, and even and if I may digress for 2 seconds and talk about bullshit that irritates me, because I think I'm going to talk about that a couple of times this evening. Bullshit that irritates me. We pay for Hulu.
Yes.
And there are still programs that have ads in them. And I'm like,
Yes.
the fuck am I paying for? But anyway, I
Yes.
digress. Last night,
Because you're paying extra for ad-free.
Yes.
Yes.
And some of it is ad-free, but not all of it is. But I guess that last night it was a blessing in disguise.
Yes.
Because I'm watching Law and Order, and this happens.
Dickel Bourbon is an award-winning 8-year-old bourbon distilled with natural spring water. Perfectly balanced with notes of vanilla, stone fruit, honey, and spices. Discover the authentic story, trusted quality inside every bottle.
Guess somebody else liked that soundtrack too.
I guess George... I can't make it turn off. I guess George Dickel liked it too. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm laying there, and it's Law and Order, and so I've got one eye open because the truth is...
And you're like, wait a minute.
Because the truth is, like, I've been watching like the newer episodes of Law and Order where I don't know the guy's name, but it's Will from Hannibal is now one of the DAs there, and he's like trying all the cases. And I swear to God, I think I'm all the way through this season. Motherfucker hadn't lost a case yet. So like, I'm not real sure what's going on in the New York DA's office for Law and Order, but this motherfucker is slaying it.
Shit.
So I'm watching it kind of like with one eye open and like whatever. And then I'm playing solitaire on my phone because that's what I do. And then it's like, and I'm like, my head like goes, what the hell is that? And I look up and it's a damn George Dickel commercial. And I'm like, that's my fucking song. I was like, that's so crazy. So what's funny is, George Dickel, I know how much you paid for the rights to that song because I paid it too. But I was like, That was so. It was one of those moments, and I'm going to digress. I'm going to drink this,
Yep.
and after I digress, we'll move to the next bottle.
Just sticking with neat tonight.
For that one, I was. So, I don't know how best to describe what goes on in my brain. It's a muddy, tangly, nasty safari of a woods in there, right? But for instance, I love to write and I love to read. And over the past couple of weeks, I've read some really great books, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm working with Rushdie, I'm working with Patchett, I'm working with Kwang, and we're talking about amazing writers. And I literally had to come out here and make myself write for a whole day without reading anything before I convinced myself that I should never write again because I'll never be that good, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And so when we do all this research and stuff, in a little bit we'll talk about Margaret Waterbury. Because she has a great article on the whiskey wash. And so there's women like that are seeped in the whiskey industry who have forgotten more about whiskey than I will ever learn. And so you're like, why do I even do this? Because there's women far more capable than me to do this. I'm like, well, then they should do it. And they do it, and that's fantastic. And so, but there's space, right? So I have to always remember that you make your own space, right? And so in a very weird way, I'm like, April, you get it, right?
Yes.
Like when you were talking about whiskey, when you were thinking about whiskey, and when you're feeling what that whiskey is.
We're
like,
on the page.
We're on the page, right?
Yes.
We picked that song. I can't tell you how many songs I went through. I cannot begin to tell you how I agonized over. I wanted it to have whiskey in the name, but then I was like, well, maybe that's not as important as the way it sounds. And
right.
I was kind of curious about the different artists that did it. And
those that you can get permissions from. And like the whole process is...
Because it was also at a time when I was like, I want to be responsible with the money that I spend and those kind of things. And I'm like, this song is it. I got to talk via messenger to the guy. Like, he was very cool. The song was great. Everything fit. It was perfect. And then it's on the fucking George Dickel commercial. Yes. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
All right. You've got it. Like there is space and what you bring to the table. I'm not going to turn this into my inspirational moment of the day, although I absolutely could, because in a very weird kind of way, it really was that moment when you're like, yes, there's space, and you just have to make your own space and
just be on that wave of...
on what you do.
Yes.
Right? Like, they do what they do. I do what I do. Fantastic for them that they've made these amazing whiskey careers and they've been able to do that for so long. I can't really think about that for a long time because I loved my high school counselor. Like, she was this wonderful old lady, but I swear to God that she didn't tell me that whiskey maker was a job I could have.
Yes. Why does that not come up in your career interest surveys?
Ever. And then I've always been a writer.
Like, you can even get it to pop up that you may enjoy bartending.
Right.
But not once do you ever see anything about distilling or blending or...
Moreover than that is I've always been a writer. Mm-hmm. Even in school, I was a writer. Like, it was a known thing. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And when they're like, oh, writer, you could be a waitress.
That's not the same wave. That's not the same page.
That's not what I want to do. Because they're like, well, can you make a living at it? Like, you could be a journalist. And I'm like, well, it's not really the kind of writing that I do creative nonfiction. I love creative nonfiction.
Right.
But I'm not a journalist. Like, I've tried.
Yeah.
I really have tried.
You need to go your own.
Well, yet to pull because more shit that gets on my nerves. To pull your journalism has become so bastardized, right? Because journalists are supposed to present you with the information in the most concise, factual, unopinionated, non-biased way possible. What we have are not journalists.
Yes.
We have columnists.
Yes.
Which is what I would have loved to have been. Like, I can do that. But I was self-aware enough to know that what journalists do, I can't pull myself out of it and just give you the story. Like, if you're
Yes.
reading my story, like,
That you're going to have some feeling or part of. Yes.
you will walk away knowing more about me.
Yes.
Like, it's what makes fiction so hard.
Yeah.
Because you're going to walk away knowing more about me. And with fiction, I don't necessarily need you doing that because you'll convolute whatever.
Right.
But anyway, so I try not to think about that too much because they were like, oh, a writer, you could be a librarian.
No, I would be bored. Like,
Or a
don't get me
waitress.
wrong, like, love seeing all the books around and
I
easy
used to think
access,
that.
but
I used to think that.
you used to think what?
That being a librarian would be a boring job. I now think if it would pay my mortgage, I now think that I may be really down with that job. Like,
Yeah.
I may really be able to do that. The only
Is that
part,
just because of the easy access to
just because
the
you get-
resource?
Yeah, and you get to be around all the things that you love all day with people that are also there for whatever reason. The only problem at this point in my life, because of the way I've built my business and the way I've built my life,
Yes.
I think I'm almost completely unemployable.
Yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah, I'm completely.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, really, like, unless you're
Yes.
going to offer me like an amazing amount of money and let me make my own schedule
Right.
and do it my own way, like, all I really need you to do is say, this is how much we're going to pay you.
this is what I need for you to accomplish in this time frame or
Correct.
by this deadline.
And these are the
Yes.
results we need. Go forth
Right.
and be productive.
Right.
Like, that's really, like, outside of that, I really just don't know. And librarian doesn't seem super conducive.
No. That's a pretty set schedule, bitch.
Yeah.
You are far from being able to have a set schedule.
And, yeah.
9 to 5.
Yeah, but I did
ever
it for
again.
so long.
Yeah,
I did
but
it for so long.
it's gone.
Yeah, I do believe I'm completely unemployable now. All right, so I will. George Dickel, yes. If anybody knows anybody at the marketing department at George Dickel, I really want to talk to them. So just let them know.
Okay, so interesting note. When you smell this one,
She's talking about
talking
the Heigold.
about the Heigold,
The
yes.
Heigold.
When you smell the Heigold, especially like from the bottle, there's almost like no scent to it, especially when you compare it to.
So the Heigold doesn't
Cavehill.
smell?
Well, it does, but
Well, just pour it.
I don't know if it's different in the cup versus.
That's good. That's good, bitch. We got 3 tonight. Wow.
I'm trying. Sorry.
That's good. That's good. We got 3.
I think we're
That's fine. All right. So now we will move back to our regularly
Regularly scheduled program.
And I have, never mind. I have been moving 90 to nothing today.
Yes.
I haven't. It's been crazy.
like the Roadrunner. Zoom.
I know. Like, and on days like this, I know how my body chemistry works. Like, I'm so amped up.
Yes.
I almost called you and said, today's probably a bad day. Like, we probably do not want to pour alcohol on this, but we're doing it anyway.
Yes.
All right, so this is the Heigold.
Yes, Heigold. And it's definitely a little bit stronger once it's poured.
But it smells beautiful.
Yes, it definitely smells more mellow.
It smells.
Like lighter.
I just
don't-
got it on my nose.
Hopefully not up it. Because that would be very uncomfortable.
It didn't go up it. It just went on it. I absolutely love that. So, I'm
a little mixed.
I love it, and I knew you would be, and I'm going to tell you why. I knew you would be, and I'm going to tell you why, because it dovetails exactly into what I was fixing to say. If you've listened to our podcast for any length of time, you understand that we are called Bitches and Bourbon because it's alliterative. Like, it sounds good. And when we say it's an attention getter, right? Oh, we'll talk about attention getters in a minute. But ours is not a deceptive attention getter. We are indeed bitches, and we do indeed drink bourbon.
Yes, we do.
So it is not a deceptive attention getter. But while Reba does almost exclusively prefer bourbon,
Yes.
not Japanese whiskey, not Irish whiskey, not even a regular run-of-the-mill American whiskey. Like, Reba prefers bourbon. I prefer Scotch.
Correct.
So this particular bourbon is the Heigold. It is a high rye double malt bourbon.
Yes.
It is the same proof as the Cavehill, 47.5%. It is 70% corn, 25% malted rye, 5% malted barley. And as soon as I tasted it, I knew that she would not like it as much as the Cavehill because it moves away from what we just said.
Of it being the most bourbon-y bourbon
we've ever
Yes.
had. It moves away from that.
Yes.
I like it because it does. So it took me forever. Reba, how long would you say that it took me to find a gin that years it took
Like, it's just been within the last 2 years
that I have found a
that
gin?
you have found one that you like. Because it's been since we've been going to cup houses.
Right. And because I didn't know anything about gin, I
Right.
did not realize the different flavor profiles.
Extremely different.
Crazy different.
Like, I never, I mean, obviously with whiskey, with bourbon, scotch, like, there's a lot of differences as we are discussing, even just within these 3 bottles with this same manufacturer. But, like, I never would have guessed. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I know that there's different flavors of everything. I get it. Like, we've tried lots of different tequilas.
Yeah, but we're not
We've tried
talking about,
lots of
like,
different
liver and
rums.
chocolate.
Yes. But, like, to think how significant of a difference a flavor can be in gin.
Like, you should really call it 2 different things.
Like, you almost, like, whenever I order a Long Island, like, I almost want to see what kind of gin they use so I know whether I want to go light on it, because sometimes they can ruin it.
Right.
And that's just one of the 6 alcohols that are going in there.
Right.
But it can completely change the whole taste of the drink.
And it wasn't until I found a gin that I liked that I realized that gin has these 2 different, a ton of different, but for me, whenever anybody says, I like gin, I love gin, I have one question, and it evens it out for me. I'm like, do you like black licorice? Because for me, that's how the gin flavor profiles work.
And what is your answer? No?
No, I hate,
Yes,
I
me
hate
too.
black licorice.
Yes.
So when I found the Hendrix, which is this very floral
Yes.
gin, I'm like, holy shit,
It's like
this
the
is
other end of the spectrum.
completely different
Yes.
end. And so this Heigold is that.
Yes.
It
and
is
it's sweeter.
without being obnoxious.
Yes.
And I think, which is interesting because you have the honey malted barley in the one that we did before. If you spit that out, I'm going to die.
I'm not spitting it
She
out.
looked like she was swishing mouthwash. I think they call that the Kentucky Chew.
Interesting. So, I mean, it's the same proof. And so I'm kind of trying to figure out what it is that gives that more tingle.
On the tip of your tongue.
And even our... I'm so glad we're not on camera.
I have got to start. If I could
No.
figure out a way,
No,
if I
ma'am.
could figure out a way to edit video as efficiently as I edit sound.
Can you imagine if
Oh
I
my
had
God,
that,
that was
big-
so good.
doing the
the game?
No. Can you imagine if we were using the app or whatever that changes your face, and I had the
No.
big wide mouth already, and then I did your...
I don't think it would do anything. I think you had the filter like completely covered. That was so great.
It's like right there on the right inside of your mouth.
Yes,
the corner.
I agree. I agree. And
Like
and it
with
is-
this one, I'm like, ooh, I feel a little bit on the back of my tongue.
she means the
Or
Cavehill.
sorry, yes. On the Cavehill, I know I made the comment about I feel it a little bit on the back of my throat. And we talked about how there wasn't a very long finish. This one definitely has a longer finish.
Agreed.
And more tingle.
Yes.
So what is it? Because
I don't
obviously it's
know.
not a proof thing.
We need to get one of those super smart bitches on the show.
Break it down
They would know.
scientifically.
Like, they would
well,
know.
see, you might have a little reaction to this.
There's more malted. Maybe it's the rye. I don't know. Maybe it's the rye.
Your
we don't
brother
know.
has a sensitivity to malt. Maybe I have a sensitivity to rye.
Maybe.
But
except
no,
for-
I mean, you
except for
feel
I feel
it too. So
I-
it's not a sensitivity.
unless we're real sisters. Like we've always. No, I've already done the 23andMe. We're not.
No, we're not.
It's okay. So, anywho, this is what? Okay, so this is the Heigold. It's a high rye double malt bourbon.
Yes. It also aged a minimum of 3 years.
Yes, this one is $60, so it's a little bit less expensive.
Closer to
yeah, it's a
that
little less
end.
expensive. A little bit less expensive.
Although, depending on my friend, especially if it's somebody.
What you could do. Here's what you could do, because it's a great bottle.
Yes,
It's delicious.
and I'm being very sarcastic right now.
If your friend,
I'm being very
if your
sarcastic
friend's
right now.
favorite color is blue,
Or they're having a boy baby.
a boy baby. That's oh my god. Rabbit hole
for your
rabbit hole.
for your very first. Oh,
Yes,
and if
I was
it's a
just
girl,
fixing to say.
what's the price on
gender
this
reveal?
one?
That one's $80.
yeah.
But it should be because
depends
girls. Yes,
they're
we
going to
run the
cost more
world.
anyway.
They're going to cost more anyway. I will tell you, I found out a lot of
I don't know
things.
anything about rabbit holes. Sorry.
See, I do because you know me. I'm always hunting the story, and the story is great. I really do love the story. What I couldn't find out, and where I think they missed,
is where the name came
where
from.
the fucking name came from.
How do you not?
I can't find it. I can't find it. Here's what
so
I know.
maybe we first need to talk about.
I'll tell you.
The people.
I'll tell you. Yes, I'll tell you
Behind
what I
it.
know. And it was amazing. Kaveh Zamenyan was an Iranian immigrant. He came over to the States in his teens, met this beautiful woman from Louisville, Kentucky. So they fall
They're a
in
cute couple.
They're a great couple. When I saw them, I immediately said to myself, I hope that's what Mike and I look like in pictures.
They complement each other very nicely.
Very beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful couple. So they fall in love. They decide to move back to Kentucky to be close to her family. And he falls in love with American whiskey.
Yes.
Which to me makes this one of the greatest whiskey stories of all, American whiskey stories of all time.
Yes, you fell in love with it, and so you wanted to do it.
You are an Iranian immigrant, didn't move over here until your teens, fell in love with a beautiful woman from Louisville, moved to be next to her family, and fell in love with American whiskey, and have built this beautiful product here.
Yes,
I'm so excited about that. I can't stand myself.
and they have a nice selection of offerings.
Like, if I'm not mistaken, they do things that
Yes.
are outside of whiskey.
Bespoke gin London Dry and a Liddell vodka French wheat. Interesting. Some other things that, like French wheat and vodka. I mean, don't get me wrong, I haven't done a lot of research on vodka, but that's not really something that stands out as being a common...
I haven't, and I need to. But the problem is that I don't have security guards. So I've got to be... I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Security guards for...
Because vodka and I have to be very careful. Some vodkas, and I haven't
Yes.
figured out the formula, haven't figured out why it is the
not
way it
worth
is.
the experimenting.
Well,
Unless you want to do
honestly,
it here.
I haven't done the research yet either.
Yes.
Right? But some vodkas
You know which vodkas you
turn
want
me
to
into
avoid.
If you've never seen Rocky 3, too bad for you.
I was thinking you were going to go with like...
Well, no, it's definitively Rocky 3. You wanted me to
Oh.
go with Beth from Yellowstone. Yes.
No.
Yes.
No,
that-
I
it
wasn't
does.
even thinking... I was thinking more like Hulk. Like, takes you from the all calm, collected
Yeah, but that's
scientist
not
doctor
really-
to...
That's not really...
I'm ready to beat your face in.
yes, that is also a very good analogy.
That's right. I don't see you turning green, but still.
But I was thinking Rocky because Rocky's my favorite movie franchise of all time. But it's like in Rocky 3 when Rocky is like very put together and like he's just a boxer. He's not a fighter. He's a boxer. And those two things are very different.
Yes.
And when Clubber Lang pushes his buttons and Rocky turns into this crazy person, like that's what some vodkas does to me. So I know that I can do, Grey Goose does not do that, Tito's does not do that.
Yes.
And so I stay in my lane. Anywho, I don't even know how we got on the vodka topic.
Talking about all the different profiles and how you would like to try their
yes, I would. And
vodka.
if you'll be with me,
Yes, you will be safe.
I'll try it.
I'll take a punch from you.
And
I won't call the
no,
J-
it doesn't,
I won't
no,
call
no,
the cops.
It doesn't, I don't. I think it
No,
would
you
get
would.
there.
You would say, "I'm going to bed."
I would.
I would see.
I would.
I would totally see you doing that. And I'm
Correct.
going to pause for a second because even though I don't have a whole lot left, I want to try this with some ice because I just want. This is one that I want to do a comparison.
All right,
with.
let's do it. Let's do it. And we're back. So what we've done is Reba, because of the tingle, is really interested to see what the Heigold does on ice.
Yes.
So that's what we're doing now.
Cheers. That is so much smoother, if you will.
Oh my god.
Now we got to pour the third bottle.
We do. All right, so
Let's dump the ice.
on the ice, let's recap on the ice.
Yes.
Because I may have to put in, I just got a call from my niece. It was a very lovely call.
We're
But
regrouping
but you
back at the train station.
you must remember that she's related to me. She and I are both not real certain how she's not my kid. So the conversation has left us a little
derailed
cattywampus, if you will.
down a different rabbit
On
hole.
a different rap. Oh my God. Shut up, Reba. Stop. We're trying to fix it. Yes.
I'm trying to get us back at the train station, bitch.
Yeah, but all right. Fair. So what we'll do is, what we're going to tell you is to recap the ice.
Yes.
I will tell you that so far, the Heigold, I like it better by a smidge than the Cavehill because I really, really enjoyed the Cavehill.
Yes.
But the Heigold had a very florally kind of not obnoxious, easy kind of fun thing that I really like.
Yes.
So I like it better. On ice, it kind of took the tingle out.
Yes.
And I won't tell you that I like it better. I will tell you that I like it different.
Yes. I agree. And I think that it would still be a hard comparison because of it being different.
Are you talking about the Heigold? Are you talking about
I'm
the
talking about the
with or
Heigold
without
on
ice?
ice versus the Cavehill.
So what I'm
I already
talking
know
about-
that I like the Heigold on ice better than I like it neat
Right?
because of it takes away that extra wryness.
So you definitively, so that's not what I mean. So what you're saying is you definitively like the Heigold on ice better than you like it neat.
Correct.
What I'm saying is I like them both in different ways.
Okay.
It would just kind of depend on where I was going with what I wanted to drink.
Okay.
Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yeah.
And I like either of them better than the Cavehill. But you're saying you definitively like the Cavehill neat better than the Heigold
Heigold
neat,
neat.
and that on ice they come super close.
Yes.
Fair.
We are now pouring the. How do you say it? Dareringer or Dareringer?
It looks to me like it would be Dareringer.
Is it not the same as like
Derringer.
the gun?
No, it's not the gun.
Okay.
It's spelled completely different. It's somebody's name.
Okay.
Now, this one is significantly different.
Yes.
So much so that we almost started with this one instead of the Cavehill, but then we decided not to because
Let's start with the more traditional.
Yes, that's what we
Because
decided
I mean,
to
it
do.
is definitely, and there's definitely a difference of.
Well, this one is different because it's finished in a sherry cask.
Yes.
Right? The
What
mash
is
bill.
PX.
So PX and sherry is Pedro Jimenez.
Okay.
Right? So that's the type of cask that it's in. It's very sweet kind of sherry. Did you taste it already?
No, I smelled it.
And?
I don't know if tingle or burn is the word that I'm looking for in my nose
Right?
than the others. It doesn't. Interesting enough, like I don't feel like I smell as much of the sweetness on this one as I did on the rye.
For the first time this evening, I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
I find
You're
it super sweet. I don't know. I don't know that I could have told you that it was sherry. I could have told you that it was grape beer. Like there's almost a red wine.
Yeah, there's definitely
of-
not like the honey side of sweetness.
No, there's
like in.
There's almost
previous.
There's almost a really nice red wine smell to it.
I would agree with that.
Let's see what it tastes like then.
It's interesting along the lines of like it has that bourbon flavor, but it has that tingle.
I'm going to tell you that there's something about it that hits me funny.
Yeah.
It doesn't punch you in the face.
No.
Like, it's not going to hurt you. Like, you're more than welcome to try it.
It's got that little tingle, more so than the Cavehill had, I feel.
But not as much as the Heigold.
Agreed.
Yes. But there's something about it where I'm like, I know what it is.
Okay.
There's a cherry note there that
I'm not a big cherry person
me
either.
either. And interestingly enough, I think that's the only thing.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's quite good. It's quite good.
I don't know that I would say that it's $10 to $20 better than these. Like, I would not pay. I would not pay higher.
Except for what I want to tell you is that it's delightful. Except for, I feel
if you're a cherry fan,
I feel
you
bad.
would probably absolutely love this.
Yes, absolutely. And so I always feel bad, like, kind of saying those kind of things because I know how I feel about cherry.
Yeah,
and I don't like it. And
I like when I look at their description.
Yeah.
It says traces of caramel, traces of cherry, and I feel like there's definitely stronger, more than just traces of cherry, and not so much. I don't taste a whole lot of caramel
at all.
No, like
at all. I don't either.
Taste the cherries.
I don't either.
And maybe the raisin type, because I
like raisins.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like their flavor by themselves, and so. I think it's the cherry. I really do. I think that's interesting.
All right. Well, this is a perfect segue because
do we want to try this one on ice?
Yeah. I think I think it's the best we can do for it because honestly, and I don't know how to stress this enough. We really have enjoyed the rabbit hole.
Yes.
I really
absolutely.
think the only thing about this sherry cask finished one, I think, is the cherry note because like everything about it, like even with the cherry, my mouth still wants to like it.
Yeah, like you're still going to finish your glass.
My nose loves it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I am going to finish the glass as soon as you get us ice.
Which is what's interesting because like when you smell it, there is no hint of cherry. I feel even though it says traces of it in the aroma, I don't smell that at all. It's in the flavor.
I agree.
Where are we at? We're trying this on ice now.
We are trying it on ice now.
It's a nice sound.
It always is.
I don't know. That might make it worse. Would you agree?
Yeah, probably worse. Here's what I will tell you.
Okay.
I think that Rabbit Hole is doing amazing work. I love
I would agree.
I love the story. I love the bottles. I think you cannot go wrong. If you like cherry, do the sherry cask.
Yes.
It's beautiful. It was the only thing that set me off.
If you are a person that like really loves the wine but wants to have that bottle of whiskey with your friend or whatever, this is your go-to bottle.
Yes. Cavehill's the bourbonest bourbon I've had in a long time.
Yep.
And Heigold was my favorite.
Yes.
I don't think you can go wrong. Cheers.
Cheers.
And
the next one.
And George Dickel used our song. Thanks for hanging out with Ape and Reba on this episode of Bitches and Bourbon.
Make sure to check out the links in the show notes, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Until next time, here's to bad bitches and good bourbon. Cheers.
I mean, you have to like spicy pickle.